Welcome back, YouTube. This is the GOATcast podcast, and we are back. I am CW, joined tonight by my esteemed colleague, Big Nige. What's going on?
Chilling, man. Working, chilling. Ready for this video today.
Yeah, I'm chilling. I'm getting ready for a work conference, so packing up for that. But we had a big return yesterday, Tuesday night. Joel Embiid returned to the Cleveland Cavaliers. He's been gone for about 2 months with I don't remember
Cleveland Cavaliers.
I said the Cleveland Phoenix. No, I'm all off. Philadelphia 76ers, sorry. Came back from his injury and did pretty good. The Sixers did defeat the OKC Thunder in that game, but was that a smart move? Should Joel Embiid have come back to the Philly Sixers, who are in the play-in range right now, and if they get the 7 or 8 seed, they will play either the Boston Celtics or the Milwaukee Bucks. So was that a smart move to bring Embiid back at this point in the season? Do you think good move or not?
It honestly depends on what their expectations for this season are. So obviously we're going to talk about Embiid first. You know, the way he looked out there, he definitely not 100%, which no player is at this point in the season. I think we can both agree to that. He looked a little slow, a little sluggish. He was very winded, especially in the fourth quarter. Getting his feet, getting his, wind back, getting his reps up. I mean, he didn't look too bad. I think I don't really know. It really depends on what Philadelphia is trying to do this season. Are they trying to go all in for it? Because like you said, they acquired Buddy Hield. Are they going to just try to run it out there and see what they have? With maybe 70% Joel Embiid, who, had 24 points, 6 rebounds, 7 assists, 6 of 14 shooting. Didn't get any of his 3 balls to go as he was 0 for 3. But the biggest thing was the 12 for 12 from the free throw line. Now, the only thing I'm concerned about when you played that clip, Joel Embiid is a really big man, but he always finds himself on the ground, whether it's jump shots, whether it's layups, this little step back, his little 1-foot jumper. He just seems to always fall on the ground, man. I don't understand. He's just a very large man to continue to fall on the ground when he's not even 100%. But the Sixers are 41-35. They're currently in the 8th seed. Like you said, a few games, between the 6th seed and obviously kind of falling out. Sixers are 27-8 with him, and they're 14-27 without. So obviously, this team's very Joel Embiid driven. He's been out since January 30th. Obviously, he's got some games to make up and try to get his reps back if he's really going to try to make a playoff push. They got 6 games left, against some not so good talent. I mean, they got the Pistons in there, the Spurs, the Nets, all teams that we can agree, and the Grizzlies. They're better than all 4 of those teams, so those should be pretty easy wins. I mean, between the Heat and the Magic, the Magic are sitting at the 4th seed. I don't think they're going to want to lose that game, considering they're pretty close to Cleveland for that 3rd seed. So I would assume that's going to be a tough game, assuming they're not resting anybody to get ready for the playoffs. Who knows? And then Miami, that's always a tough game, whether they're resting their starters or not, because they're just very well coached. I think it's a good thing if they are just going to try it and run it back and just see what they can do for the year, see what pieces they have, what they need to retool with for maybe a 1st-round exit if Joel Embiid is not 100%. And obviously, it's a bad idea if they're just saying, all right, we're just trying this. We have no expectation to go out the 1st round, 2nd round, 3rd round. So then again, you're compromising Joel Embiid's health and obviously your long-term future.
The big one. Yeah.
But me personally, I don't think it's a bad idea if he's ready to play and he's out there trying to give his all for his team. I got no problem with that. And I'm interested to see this Sixers team, because if Embiid is even 90%, and you put him at the 7th seed or 8th seed, and you got him against the Celtics or the Bucks, hey, but I mean, both of those teams aren't solid 1-2 seeds. We know Boston lives and dies by the threes. So when the games get close, somebody like Joel Embiid can be a difference maker if they can just hang on. Same thing with the Bucks. They got the infamous Doc Rivers. I don't need to say anything else about that team. They're wishy-washy, and the Sixers can definitely capitalize and upset either one of those teams at full strength. But the key is Joel Embiid.
Yeah, I partially agree, but had the Sixers been in the 4 or 5, even 6 range, I would say, yeah, bring him back full strength, try to get him implemented back in, and let's see what can happen. But the fact is, their first round matchup, if they even make it into the playoffs, which we kind of always, with this play-in tournament, we kind of skip that part and say, hey, these teams are in, but they're not in yet. They're going to have to win their way into the playoffs with the play-in. And the question is, or the thought is, they're going to have to play either the Boston Celtics or the Milwaukee Bucks. And you have a guy, he could have been he was trending towards the MVP, but he's going to have to work himself back into basketball shape. He's been out for 2 months. We all know that playoff basketball is different than regular season basketball, so it's going to be more physical. You got either Giannis, Porzingis, Al Horford. These guys, Porzingis less than the others, but these guys have playoff experience and they know what to do. So they're going to grind on. Embiid can't just hide. He's not like a guard or certain wing players where you can hide him on the court and get him back into shape or get him back into the swing of things. He's got to play. And with those type of players in your way, it's going to be tough for the Sixers to try to get into the next round. But like you, I'm conflicted, because do you let him sit and just kind of, if he's ready to play and he wants to play, do you sit him, or do you let him play? And there's a potential of him getting hurt again, which is not good. But how much last night I think he played 29 minutes, which is pretty much should be how they kind of bring him back in. But are you going to play him 40 minutes in the playoffs? I don't know if I would do that. He looked super, like you said, super winded last night. I don't know if he's hurt or just tired, but he's going to have to work himself into that shape. So I'm not against them playing him, but I think it's going to be a tough battle for them to get to any kind of position where they're any kind of contenders going forward. Like I said, you got to either play the Boston Celtics or the Milwaukee Bucks. You probably want to play the Bucks, but if you play the Bucks, that's still a tough team, because Giannis is coming at you. You got 2 big boys down there that Embiid's going to have to fight with. And you got Tobias Harris, Batum, Covington. These guys, they're not big enough to battle those guys. So, I mean, I'm not against it, but I think you don't want Embiid to get hurt for the long run. You don't want to mess up your investment. And, you can bring him back healthy in the 2025 season and see what happens. He's probably going to play. I don't know what he's going to do for the Team USA, the Olympics, but I'm hoping he plays. So he might want to, we probably need him, but
definitely do.
I'm hoping he decides to, kind of rest up his body so that he's prepared for that. So I'm not 100% against him playing, but I think they should definitely take a look and kind of be wary of him. And, they're not going to beat I'm gonna be honest. They're not gonna beat the Bucks or the Celtics. They might be able to drag it out to 7 games, but they're not gonna beat either one of those teams because those teams are in tune right now. Say whatever you want to say about the Bucks, but when Dame plays, they're in tune. So I I think
I'll save my opinion for that later video.
Okay. But I think they're in tune right now, and they're too tough for Embiid to make a true impact with him being gone for 2 months. So I say play him now, but I would sit him, which sounds crazy, but I sit him in the playoffs.
Sit your potential MVP in the playoffs?
He's not MVP. He's not even eligible for MVP. So
he was literally the MVP before he got hurt.
But he's not. So you sit him.
This is hard to come back from, and the fact that he's even playing, he's got my respect.
He's done it in 2 months, which is crazy. But do you risk him getting hurt and not being able to play for Team USA and that lasting until training camp? No, you sit him. You're going to sit him. That's what I would do. But
wait. Let me just pause real quick, all right? Because me and you had this discussion around the All-Star break, where everybody is getting on to players. They need to play. Right? If you can go, you need to go. Right. And I know me and you, we had this discussion, and it was
a long discussion.
It was centered around Joel Embiid. And here he is coming back from pretty much a season-ending injury. They say, I'm here for my team, for my fans. And here we are. And you're saying you're leaning more on the side that he should sit.
Yeah.
But you're going against your point when you used to say that, players need to play, and if they're not playing, what are we doing? Care to respond?
Well, there's context to that. I was saying, if you have ticket holders and fans buying tickets, these guys should play if they can play.
Okay.
Now that we're entering into the playoffs, which is a different beast in itself, why would you play your marquee player in series where you're playing against the best of the best?
It's the playoffs. What do you mean?
Okay, but
like, we talking about the playoffs though. Like, it don't matter if you 50%, 60%. It's the playoffs. Okay,
let me put it in context. And I'm not bringing this person up for no other reason than to make a point. Michael Jordan coming back with 17 games left in the 95 season. He came back. He played in the playoffs. He came back for 17 games, played in the playoffs. You saw a huge difference than the Michael Jordan that played in 93. And then in hindsight, the Michael Jordan that played in 96, 97, 98. He didn't give you the same things. So why would you risk a player that is already injury prone if he's not going to give you what you need? Michael Jordan was, I'm not going to say terrible, but he was not Michael Jordan against those Orlando Magic. Penny made him look human. He didn't look like the GOAT. He looked like a human. They were stealing the ball from him. They were taking the ball from him. His efficiency was way down. So he only had 17 games. That was a little different because at least Embiid did have some sort of season, but at the same time, he's been gone for 2 months. He's a big. Like I said, you can't hide a big. A big has to play their position. They have to play their role, and especially if you're playing against a Milwaukee or a Boston, you have to play your role. And you have to play it at a high level because they don't have anybody that can match what Embiid does. So, if you want to try to get something out of Embiid and have him play in these series, fine. But I don't think it's going to be beneficial because you're not going to beat these teams. I could see if they had some type of chance, if they were doing that well, and Embiid was just, we'll see. I mean, I'm going to see how Embiid does in the rest of these last games. So he might look fine the next few games. And then I'll say, okay, we'll play him. But the way he looked last night, he was tired. He was fatigued. Don't play him in the playoffs because, I mean, what are you doing? You're just potentially hurting him, and you're going to have him out and potentially missing him when you need him the most, which is the beginning of the next season, training camp, all of that.
But my last rebuttal, when you talk about when a team really needs their star player, it's not for the regular season, it's for the playoffs.
Okay.
And when you brought up the point about players resting if they need to rest, and ticket holders and all this, ticket holders, your team is in the playoffs, they want to see their best player. And like you and I both know, anything can happen in the playoffs. A Tatum injury, a Giannis injury, like obviously we're not assuming players are going to get hurt, but nobody's going into the playoffs 100%. It's just a myth. Everybody's banged up, everybody's bruised and battered. But to your point, Embiid is coming off of a very serious injury, and it's a lower body injury to a bigger fellow. I get that. But if he can, will the Sixers, obviously against a Thunder team that was very depleted, but it's still a competitive game, and he still took control at the end of the game, drew fouls, things of that nature, to still set the tone and control the game. He's doing that in his first game back. Sluggish, tired, whatever you want to say, but you give him 6 games, you give him a little bit more time, that little break period. Obviously if they're in the play-in, then he doesn't get that break. But I mean, what they play the Bulls, the Hawks, or Miami? Like Miami's the only
play
team.
Miami first, so he's gonna have to fight with Bam.
Okay, well, even if right now they're the 8th seed in Miami's 7th, right? So if they play Miami right now, they'd probably lose, right? We can both agree to that. Yep. So then they'd have to play the winner of the Bulls and Hawks. That's lunch meat. There'd be breaks off of both of those teams. Yeah. So then it becomes a matchup between the Celtics, and we both know that the Celtics have been favored in most of the matchups they've played them, but it's always been a close series. No matter what you want to say about Ben Simmons, what you want to say about James Harden, it's always been a close series, and more times than not, Embiid is underperformed. Injuries, matchups, not reading double teams, we could go into a list, but they match up very well against each other. And obviously, maybe having this extra rest and getting himself back in the game shape could be a difference maker for him, against them. Because again, there's nobody on that Celtics team that can stop him. And he's shown this year that he knows how to play out of a double team, make the right passes, read the coverages a little bit better. So we don't know. Even though the Celtics are clear number 1 seed, they don't always play like it. So to me, if I have a legitimate chance to upset the 1 seed Celtics, I would take it. Because Embiid, even at 75%, is still one of the best 3 players on the floor at any given time. On that, especially in that series. So
I get what you're saying, but like I said, had this been any other, had they been the 4 spot, 3 spot, 5 spot, I'd say give the green light to Embiid, let him go. These are teams you can probably beat, but you're going to have to battle with the Boston Celtics potentially, which, Embiid is miles better than Porzingis, but they've got so many wings and so many players. But you have Horford, you have Xavier Tillman, these guys that they can throw at Embiid, and these are tough guys. These are guys that are not going to just let him, and they're just got fodder guys that they can throw out there on him and make it tough for him.
Shorter too.
They're shorter, yeah, but at the same time, Porzingis is not that much shorter than.
I think Porzingis is probably taller.
Yeah, so
he's skinnier.
He's skinnier. He can't out muscle Embiid, but you got 2 guys that are very strong, and you have a veteran in Horford who's never won one, but he's still extremely smart. He's got pretty good basketball IQ, I would say. So you got these guys, and what they're going to do is they're going to make Embiid have to defend, and if Missoula's smart, they're going to make him defend. So they're going to spread the floor, and when you have a guy like Porzingis and they're starting five, all of them can shoot. So Embiid's going to have to be out there on those guys. So if they, pick and roll, if they do something, who is you going to switch on to? Drew Holiday? Even Drew Holiday can smoke past Embiid. So
I'm going under that. If I got Drew Holiday out there, I'm going under.
But even still, they're going to come up with a scheme to try to tire out Embiid. So I just think the fact that they have really bad matchups their first round, I wouldn't risk it. I might try it for a game or two, but once we see what it's going to be, which is probably Boston or Milwaukee just trouncing the Sixers. They got Maxey. They have a solid team. They'll be in the game, but I don't think
it's a lot closer than you think. They're only that low because Embiid got hurt. But Embiid is not like a full 8 seed because that team was really one of the top 3 teams in the East.
They were, and they probably would have finished. I assume they'd have finished over Milwaukee.
And they got Buddy Hield. Like this team is a lot better than you're giving them credit for.
I'm not saying they're bad. I'm just saying they're getting bad matchups their first round. If like I said, if they were a 4 or 5 and they're playing Boston the second round or Milwaukee the second round, play him, because he would be able to work himself into it, and they would kind of be able to slowly get him in. But the fact that you have to quickly get him into this, get him back into shape, nah, I wouldn't risk it. But I'm not an NBA coach, so you might be you're probably way closer than me to being an NBA coach. So your assessment might be better than mine, but I'm just saying I wouldn't, and I wouldn't, wherever they end up 7, 8, if they even make it in, I'm not picking them over Boston or Milwaukee. I'm just not, because they just Embiid's not 100%, so I'm not going to pick them over them. So why would you set yourself up to lose? It's not a given that they're going to lose, but both teams would have to have some bad games, because they're both going to have home court advantage against the Sixers. So and we would have to see if Maxey is who Maxey has claimed to be, if he's that guy. So he's got to show us. So he's unproven too.
I'll reserve the rest of my talk for when we break down the matchups.
That's coming soon. We just some teams only got 7 games. We got about a week or 2 left before we're gonna really break down these playoff matchups